Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is the Connection Show. This is the show where I invite all my readers, my guests, to come and share with us what they're doing, where they're up to. And yeah, let's just share and inspire each other. So today I have Leanne on the show. Welcome to the show, Leanne.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for having me. What I've really been up to is just connecting with people all day. So I am a holistic beauty coach, and I just help people to feel good about themselves from the inside and out, and just to be able to reach out to people and genuinely connect with them and just say, hey, how are you going? And find out how I can add a little bit of value and light into their lives. So I've actually been just doing quite a few back-to-back Zoom calls and catch-ups and setting up virtual events and that sort of thing.
That is so lovely. I think this is the best time, isn't it? That, you know, everybody's able now to get on Zoom call, and it's a different way of connecting and making it a lot convenient, isn't it? Like, we don't have to get out of the house. We don't have to get to a cafe. We can just get on the Zoom and we can connect right away. It's just so wonderful.
Yeah, I am getting more comfortable in front of the camera. So that's
good.
Like we're doing today.
Like we're doing today, exactly. Talking about what we're doing today. So the purpose of this show is to inspire actions, you know, to share with all our viewers that, you know, you read the book and you've taken actions, because we all know that we all have many books sitting there waiting for us to read, and not many of us get to read it. And even if we read it, not all of us taken actions. And I know you're such an action taker, and that's why I thought I'll invite you on the show, share with us, and to inspire everybody else as well during this time. You know, we all could do with a bit more reading, a bit more inspiration. So yeah, would love for you to share with us what inspired you pick up the book. I know we met at the school with our daughter's school, but still, you know, not everybody would read, even if we bought the book, you know, not every one of us actually flip the page and actually read it. So would love for you to share with everybody what inspired you to read.
Well, I better just backtrack and just give for people that are watching. So Linda and I, our kids actually go to the same school. I know now they've moved on to high school, but at the time when we met, which was probably like 3 years ago, Linda and I met. We were doing some volunteering in the library, and it was book week, and of course Linda was there because it was book week. And she's always very connected to the school and the community, and I got introduced to her, and I just loved her beautiful smile and her energy, and I was like, who is this lady? I've never met her before, but she was so open, and just said, you know what, a group of girls coming together at the local coffee shop, and I've just got my new book that's been #1 on Amazon, and I'm like, what is going on? But I'm going to actually do a book signing, because I got my first lot of books, and I would love for you to come on Friday, meet a couple of my friends, and I can sign a book for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Like, I just met like a famous international author in my local school. This is nuts. But anyway, I went. I was not going to decline this opportunity. And it's just really interesting, because when I was growing up, I really struggled to read. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't own books. Like, when we had to do reading at school and like anything like that, or writing, I just eventually had a block. But I was good at studying. Like, if you gave me a book and I had to study, I could study it. But actually just recreational reading, anything to do with personal development, I didn't have that. I was really inspired to meet someone who had written a book about connection, the currency to happiness. And I thought to myself, there must be something here, because I'm on my own personal journey. And now this amazing, inspiring woman is coming to my life, has written a book, which of course I want to read. I just read so much. And it's crazy to think that I never actually used to enjoy reading. And I actually listen to stuff as well, but I prefer to actually feel like a book and hold a book. So also I went to the coffee shop, met Linda again, met some of her friends. She signed the book for me, which there, I've got it signed. Yes. And it says, to your dear Leanne, to your happiness, it's been a joy to meet you. 3 hearts with the happiness code. And also you gave me a beautiful bookmark. And I just felt like she, you know, Linda made me feel from the get-go, she just made me feel comfortable. She was very open to share, you know, this book with me. And I just was like, I'm going to jump in and just read this book because I have to. Like, there's no personal development book I don't want to read. And what inspired, so that's kind of what inspired me, because I met this gorgeous soul who, like, obviously we had our kids in common, but I just wanted to pick up this book and actually see, like, what could I learn from this? How could I grow from this? And I've actually, from the minute I read it, like, I was probably in tears by, you know, chapter 2 or something when she spoke about her mum. And I think there was just so much personal, authentic experience right from the beginning. Like, I just loved it. And yeah, I just knew I had to keep going and keep reading. And I actually read it again a second time, I think a little later on. And yes, I guess that's what inspired me, Linda, just, you know, meeting you. And I think how many people actually out there get to meet the author? Like, you know, you might see the author on a YouTube channel or watch a show or see their photo, but to actually personally meet someone who has literally, you know, everything that Linda writes about this book is truth. You know, this is her personal experience when she was growing up. You know, how she was seeing the world through her eyes, and her experience when she immigrated here to Australia, and so much more. And I just knew that when I read this book that I needed to go out and share this with other people. And so that's what I've been doing, aka Happiness Fairy. I'm about, because I just got obsessed with literally just going out and sharing this book with as many people as I possibly could. And so I have actually just had this gift, like, this is literally like a gift that I've been able to give to people, like people that I meet, and I go, how can I bring a little bit of sparkle into their life? How can I bring a little bit of light into their life? How can I help them shift from the darkness to the light? And I was actually just going out and just gifting them this book. I was actually even meeting people that I'd never met before, and just like literally taking this book and writing them a note and posting it to them and saying, I want you to connect with Linda. I'd love you to read this book. And yeah, that's something that I will continue to do, because I believe that, you know, through this book, there are just so many different messages and learnings. And I think everybody can learn from, like, relate to something in here. So yeah, that's just a little bit of what inspired me and has kept me going.
Oh, thank you so much. And you are the happiness fairy, because you literally, yes, same color. And I want to say thank you for purchasing multiple copies of the book. You know, each time you purchase a whole batch, and you've done that for a few times now, to gift it to your clients and to your friends and your family. So I really, really appreciate that. And really, you're such an action taker. And, you know, I really think that how we met was just so beautifully orchestrated. Yes. Divinely
orchestrated.
Definitely. Yes. And the way how we connected, so connected. Like, I mean, there's so many moms at school, right? Sometimes you would ask, why me, why you, right? So it's just really, really beautifully orchestrated by the universe. Yeah. That's all I could say. That's all I could say, really. And thank you so much for that. And, you know, as you are sharing, I'm just really curious, because you said, you know, one part you got in tears. Is there a particular chapter or particular story that resonate with you more?
You know, there have been, because I've read it twice, and I think what I've done now is, I just have to say that I was watching one of your other shows, and there was one particular person that you interviewed who said that, actually I think a few of them said that they just found that this was like a coffee table book, that you could literally just put it on your coffee table or have it in your office, and you could literally just open it up, and whatever it lands on is kind of what you need to hear or read. And at the moment, to answer your question, at the moment, I am going for a really big goal in my business. And I am challenged by enjoying the journey, because at the end of the day, you know, you can achieve that goal and then go, okay, well, that's great, but I feel exhausted or tired, or I didn't really, what actually happened, or, and then you get the goal and then you kind of want to go for more and you want to go for more, but you haven't actually sat and enjoyed getting there. And I think that life is not about, you know, the outcome, it's the journey. It's the journey along the way. And so what I really loved, because I did this, I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. What is it that I need to hear that's on my heart that is right now? And it's, are you there yet? Versus, I'm never going to get there. And that's what I needed to hear. So, and that's exactly what I needed to hear. It's fantastic to keep going upwards and onwards, provided we pause and enjoy the moments along the journey. It is much better to acknowledge what we have achieved and practicing gratitude for reaching our achievements, rather than falling into the trap of being constantly struggling for further success. Be mindful not to fall into the pattern where each time we have achieved our goals, we set the bar even higher. While this is meant to stretch our abilities to bring out our best potential, sometimes it can do more harm than good, because when we keep aiming for higher goals, we sometimes forget how far we have come. And instead of celebrating and being content, we dwell on the fact that we need to achieve more, and so we become unhappy. And that really sits with me right now. And so, like, there are so many messages in the book, but this is just like, oh, it just hit me right here. And, you know, it's about finding joy for where you're at in the present moment, and trusting the process that we're all going to get there in our own time, but just to let go and enjoy the journey along the way. And I think that this lesson is so prevalent, not where I am right now in my business, but also to teach our children, because there's a lot of pressure on our kids as well to have to achieve a certain, you know, mark at school, or, you know, be the best performer. And you know what? We are all enough. We are all enough. So, Linda, honestly, this is like gold. And that's number one. The other thing that I really want to share with everyone today, which really struck with me, is this quote. I don't know if everyone can see it, but I actually picked this up last year, and I'm going to read it to you. When you offer services or products that fix a client's problems and pains, you are delivering a piece of calmness, joy, and happiness to the jigsaw of their ultimate happiness. And, you know, I couldn't even say this better in any other way, because this is exactly what embodies me every single day. I just want to go out there and help as many people as I can to feel good about themselves and to live a life that matters. And that comes from mind, body, and soul, all connected in harmony, so that we can thrive, we can be our best. But what's on my heart at the moment is something that I have to share, and I know you have a common passion, and that is around mental health. We take our mental health for granted sometimes, when there are millions of people out there who are struggling, and even teenagers, you know, and sometimes it's our kids that are not even heard because they are going through challenges, growth changes, social challenges, plus we're in isolation, so a whole lot of other things happening. And the messages that you give in this book can help people to bring some of that light in the darkness. And you always say, Linda, like, just let people be heard, because imagine if they could just have that voice to say, like, what is your highlight today? What is your low light today? Like, what's on your heart today? And just giving that person an opportunity to be heard is so important. And the messages that you give in this book can help people to bring some of that light in the darkness. And you always say, Linda, like, just let people be heard, because imagine if they could just have that voice to say, like, what is your highlight today? What is your low light today? Like, what's on your heart today? And just giving that person an opportunity to be heard is so important. And yeah, that's kind of all. I know I've got a bit in a 360-degree circle here, but it all resonates to the fact that what I believe this book can do is help a whole lot of people raise their vibration.
And I just want to thank you so much for sharing that, because it's such a touchy topic. You know, it's really hard to talk about for me, because I get emotional very easily, as you know that by now. The most crucial thing that a lot of us are not aware of is that sometimes we're traveling through some emotions that we are not even aware of ourselves. We just go through day by day, one task after another, motion after another motion. And then at some point we start to get tired. At some point we start to get a bit overwhelmed. At some point we get a bit slightly burnout, but we're still pushing through. We think we are tough. We think we're strong. We're still striving forward until suddenly it's just all too much. And it's more crucial for younger people because they are not so verbalized. They're not able to tell Mom, I'm feeling this, or Dad, I'm feeling this. You know, they tend to hold back a little bit, and they're not so aware of it because there's so many things going on, isn't it? There's schooling, there's friends, there's changes, there's so much going on. And so sometimes they're not even aware of it themselves in order to verbalize it. And then suddenly it hits. And then by then it's all a bit too much. It's all like a big knot by then. So I want to say thank you for sharing that, because it's very easy, like you said, it's very easy for us who are on this side of the health line, so-called. Like, you know, I shared with the health line before, on the negative side and the positive side. It's very easy for us to say, it's not me, you know, I'm not in that group, mental health is not me. But it is very easy with so much going on, it's just very easy for us to, before we realize it, we get tired, we get overwhelmed. And so, yes, it is very important that we verbalize it often. We pause, exactly like what you shared before, instead of keep aiming to achieve, pause and celebrate your achievement, you know. So thank you so much for sharing that.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, thank you for writing it, because I just, as you say, like, I just am blown away that I could come, you know, I've always got your book around somewhere. Could have multiple copies still. I've got to get more. But yeah, just to come back now where I'm on, you know, once again, it feels like another transformation, like another phase that I'm going in and learning and growing, and to know that that's exactly what I needed to hear. So yeah.
That's beautiful. If someone was to say, Leanne, is there a particular chapter you would advise them to read first?
I loved this one. Happiness and Fidelity. Chapter 11. It's my favorite. It's my absolute favorite. We gain deeper happiness and true contentment when we bring happiness to others. Self-love equals love for life equals greater love equals compassion. So when you make it about not just yourself, but about others, it takes it onto a completely different level. And I just love this chapter because I didn't understand what it actually meant in the beginning. But it's based on Linda's 5 foundation elements, and I know you've spoken about this before in other interviews, but yeah, I just love the last little finger. When we live life for purpose, which essentially is to serve others, for our family as well as the wider community, it makes us feel more complete because it helps us to feel that there is a circle of love that comes back to us in the end. So it's interesting. I was actually in India recently in March, and one thing that I learned there was that, well, something they do over there is every time it's their birthday, the person who's having their birthday gives out candy or lollies or sweets, whatever you want to call it, chocolate, to everyone. So normally when it's your birthday, you're receiving all the gifts, right? What they do on their birthday is they just go out and they just hand out chocolates, lollies, whatever to everybody. So because the belief behind that is that the more you give, you will receive. So actually the act of giving is allowing the universe to give you more back. So I would say that, once again, interesting that should come up this year for me, and just connecting all the dots. And you've already written a chapter about it. But yeah, it's pretty special. And I love that chapter, and I love the fact that, when you make whatever you're doing in your life, like whatever your passion is, when you take it from your head and you move it into your heart, you will thrive. You will thrive. When you make it about just you, that's just ego. And yeah, you may succeed, but you know what? You will even blossom and bloom more if you let go of that ego and literally move it from your head into your heart, so that you can expand and help others. And yeah, that's kind of the thing that I would want everybody to read that chapter. We could put that as chapter 1, couldn't we? Chapter 11.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's so beautiful. And as I do share this with the Three Hearts Ambassador, Three Hearts is the extension of the book. As you know, you're one of the ambassadors. Thank you for that, for joining that too. When we operate from compassion, we will continuously grow, and it's limitless, and that's what I find with the journey, is that when we tap into compassion, we will always have more to give. We will always have more. But when we focus too much on the I, we tend to shrink. And the ego kicks in, and somehow we get challenges. And there's many questions that we eventually have to answer. And so that's beautiful for bringing that up as well. Thank you so much. So just one last question before we go. It sounded like the book has brought you so much joy, and it has expanded because, you then pass on the joy to others, and all these ripple effects that you're creating, which is beautiful. If you were to say, I'm sure by now the viewers are so inspired by you, by all the stories you're sharing. If the viewers were just curious, what has the book helped you so far? What would you say? What would you share with everybody?
Well, a couple of things. I think the first is that happiness is an inside job. And that, I spend a lot of my life looking for outside things to make me happy. So materialistic things like, bags, shoes, clothes, fancy outfits, holidays. There's nothing wrong with spoiling yourself with any of those things. But, when you're actually getting to a point of knowing that that's what makes me happy, well, actually they don't. And I think learning to know that, learning to just let go, that transition of letting go of that and actually accepting that, you can't bring joy and love and happiness to other people if you don't have happiness yourself. But you're not going to ever find your happiness, even in a relationship. If your partner makes you happy, that's awesome, but you have to be happy first. You can't actually go, okay, he makes me happy, but what happens if, or she makes me happy, but what happens if they're not around anymore? you got to fill your own cup up first before you can give to others. And it's something that I'm also learning with my children, because I sometimes am challenged by wanting them to show me emotion in a certain way or react in a certain way. And I realized that I actually need to not be relying on them to make me happy. I need to be happy myself first. Like, if they're in a bad mood or they don't want to do something with me or whatever, it doesn't matter, because you know what? Like, I choose every day my state of mind. Like, I wake up every day and I choose what my day's what I'm gonna be like in that day. Like, I choose to be victorious, not to be a victim. I have that choice every single day. So it doesn't matter what's going on around me. You know, life happens and people have, you know, mood swings and ups and downs and all sorts of things. Like, we can't control what other people think or do or say. We can only control our own thoughts and our own actions. So just keeping my mind pure and clean, and you know, I work on my mindset every single day. Like, literally, there doesn't go a day that I don't actually pour into myself, because I know that if I don't, you know, people will, you know, and I protect my vision, like, absolute, like, so much, because people will steal my dreams and they will steal my vision. So I just literally focus on keeping my mindset strong and choose to be that, to be victorious. And we can actually flip, like, I know you've spoken about this before, like, if you're feeling a particular emotion, you can flip that emotion. And that's something that I also learned from you. But I think, you know, happiness is that inside job. That's number one. And number two is definitely self-love. Like, you know, you've got to, and I think most of us deal with self-love issues. I don't think any of us are immune to that, but just learning to love and accept yourself is so, so important, because that actually will then create that connection. That will actually create, because we're all divine, we're all connected, we're all one. So the minute you start actually comparing and competing, that's just ego. And that actually goes back to yourself, because it's showing that you don't love and accept yourself enough. So the other takeaway is definitely self-love. And acceptance, and just to show up every day to be your authentic true self, whatever that is.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And it sounds like you got the two most important element, learning, wisdom, whatever you call it, the two most important thing, which is happiness, is an inside job. And my most favorite quote in the whole book, there's many quotes in the book, but my most favorite one that I remind myself even every day is that happiness is another form of wealth, and it's our most treasured form of wealth. And it's proven now more than ever, right? You know, even if you have the $1 billion, if you get the disease, you can't be happy. And so therefore, you really have got the most crucial element out of the book. And the self-love. Self-love is so big, right? We see it all the time. You know, there could be people who have very high status. I speak to so many people. Some people have very high status, you know, lots of money, but they lack self-love, and it really can just take them down in some point of their life. When it hits them, they just crush it down very, very quickly. So I want to congratulate you for being able to get those two most crucial, most important, most valuable two messages and elements out of the book. You've done so well. I just want to congratulate you.
I want to actually share something with you, because it's just come in my head, and it's come in my head for a reason, because somebody needs to hear this, and it's just on what you said right there. So I was listening to actually something that Oprah Winfrey spoke about, and she was actually sharing a point about self-love, and she was actually saying that you know, she has found through all her interviews of even the millionaires and the celebrities, and even when she interviewed President Obama, like, literally the first thing that they say, so the minute they've delivered their speech or they've been on the TV show with her, the first thing they do when they cut the cameras or they've gone and left the room or the event or whatever is, how did I go?
Did I do okay?
Did I do okay? How did I go? Because the immediate thing is like, am I enough?
Yes.
Was that enough?
Yes.
And of course okay. You shouldn't have to ask that question. But I just thought that that was really fitting because I just remembered it now. And it just goes to show it doesn't matter who you are. We all, we're actually are programmed to think that way. So we actually have to unprogram ourselves and go within and, allow that beautiful divine energy and love to flow. And thank you so much, Linda, for letting me get that in because I just thought it was quite
And again, I'm so glad you brought that up because in the book I share that it doesn't matter if you're the king or the queen, we all still get the same challenges.
Yeah.
Did I do good enough? Have I done a good job? Have I done enough?
Yeah.
And that enoughness is what challenges us all the time. And sometimes I feel as if there's another pandemic of enoughness. Am I enough? Am I good enough? Too tall? Am I skinny enough? Am I big enough? Am I tall enough? And so I guess we all just human. It's regardless who you are, we all experience the same emotions. And it's really, I'm so pleased that you get so many of these amazing core messages that bring you so much joy that you feel compelled to pass it on. So I want to say thank you for that. That's just so
thank you, Linda.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, watching the show. Leave us comments if you feel inspired or if you have any questions for us, just ask and one of us will be happy to answer your question.